speaking of random battle situation, and one that I think was one of a really interesting fight was the fight we had in Fight 2, which is Team Great Power, which was Aquaman, Spider-Man, Peter Parker. So we got some more webheads here. Batman, Bruce Wayne, DC, obviously. LeMillion from My Hero Academia. And then The Thing of Fantastic Four. And they were pit up against Team Marvelous, which was Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, Captain America, Steve Rogers from Marvel, Iron Man and Storm, also from Marvel, and then America Chavez from Marvel as well. So that team has a lot of people who tend to know each other, all in the same team. Now, we'll quick run through the battle location. Was the Tundra, so frozen tundra. Battle was at night. Great Power had 1 week of prep time, whereas Team Marvelous were teleported right into the battle. Before we talk about who wins, thought process on this fight.
I feel like it's pretty similar to the last one because it's just like with that prep time and like you have Batman. Like you have Batman and you're giving Batman a week, a full week. He could do a lot in a day. He could do a lot in 2 hours, but you're giving him a full week to assess and also the fact that he already knows Barbara and already because he's Batman, has a contingency plan to take out every single person he knows and loves and cares about in case they go crazy. So I don't know, that alone really kind of again sort of tipped the scales for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It kind of came down that way.
There's really cool people on both teams, but Great Power is so stacked. And like to have LeMillion that is intangible at will. Like that's rough. I'm looking at Team Marvelous and I'm like, well, Storm can control the weather. That's useful in the tundra.
There wasn't a lot going on. And this was a capture battle. I remember, again, this was a capture battle.
Yeah. And Spider-Man, I mean, Peter Parker especially, is kind of across like genre of content is one of what I would say sort of the king of capture, if you will. Like he definitely knows how to incapacitate someone without killing them, without really even harming them or injuring them in any way as well. Like he is very, very good about incapacitating his people that he's fighting, enemies, whatever, and them like not even being completely injured unless he wants that to be the case.
Yeah. Now, Chris, I was going to ask you, one of the things we don't talk about a lot and doesn't get brought up in the comments a whole lot is team synergy, the ability for teams to work together really well. Now, when we look at Team Great Power, we have a lot of like really powerful people, obviously, on this team. However, when you look at Team Marvelous, even without prep time, you have Captain America and Iron Man, which is
Storm. Don't forget, Storm has also been an X-Men team leader
and an Avenger, if I'm almost not mistaken.
Yeah.
So like
Batgirl as a coordinator, as Oracle. I mean, it reads like team CEO versus team admin assistants. But anybody who works in corporate is going to tell you an admin assistant will make or break your entire day. They know everything. Because you're just focusing on like high level stuff, but everything will grind to a halt without them. So you can't downplay Team Marvelous because of that. I think you're absolutely right. You have a master tactician also like Cap. You have Iron Man, who is very holistic. I mean, the man builds things. Everything is a blueprint to him. If you think about it, even America is a little bit of a lone wolf, but she still can function within teams. And even just as like being able to open portals and all that kind of stuff, it functionally has a great role in that. And again, Batgirl, operations and logistics, she's got it in addition to the fighting ability, so that you can't 100% rule them out because of that. But that week of prep time, a CEO will figure out how to use Outlook within a week. So
now the thing that it makes me, we wasn't also talked about in the comments, but we'll talk about the comments in a second. But the battle location sort of does a disservice to Team Great Power, as in with the exception of LeMillion, Everyone else is sort of just kind of on the ground level. There's no buildings to swing from. There's no things to grappling hook into. There's no oceans to swim out of. So they're kind of running at the other team across the battlefield. Whereas when you look at Team Marvelous, like two of the five can fly. One of them, I don't even remember if American Chaves can fly, so it might even be 3 out of the 5 can fly. And Storm could also cause other people to fly using wind, like just even to get themselves up and out of the fight long enough to kind of get a plan together.
Suck all your buddies into a tornado and basically just keep them.
Have a team
out of the mix. Or Sharknado, I'd love to see Sharknado versus Aquaman and see that conflict of nature.
And Barbara knows all of Bruce's secrets.
Well,
too. I mean, most of them.
I mean, that's what I was going to bring up. Like, is it you know everything that I know, or is it you know everything that you know? And like those be two different things.
I'm never one to give Batman more credit than he deserves, in fairness. And while Batman is very good at most things, I think my personal headcanon is Barbara's got all of his email passwords when she was Oracle. Like, she's already been in all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? She was his number one IT guy when she was Oracle for years. I can't imagine he has anything that she would not either have had access to or would not already know about, even if he thinks that she doesn't know about it. You know what I mean?
Her dad too. She can call up Commissioner Gordon, which if she had the prep time, she could. But there's also just the fact that in her own personal history, her dad has known Batman for so much of her life. So she's already absorbed stuff that probably he doesn't think is out there.
That's a good point.
So I don't know. I just like that's cool. But again, let's talk about LeMillion, because I wanted people to talk about LeMillion more in the comments, and we did have a couple of things. They were saying like, how do you capture LeMillion? Joey, is there anything that you can see from Team Marvelous where they would, without any prep time, without any like prior knowledge, be able to capture LeMillion?
Honestly, nothing comes to mind. It's tricky too, because like we don't see a ton of development with LeMillion and his powers. Like, we don't get tons of screen time.
We only see him with it for a little bit.
Yeah, we don't get into like the nitty gritty of what the limitations of that might be. They're just like, here's this guy and he's so good at this, and he like should have been this person and been given these abilities and like done these things. But we mostly just see LeMillion kick ass and then like heroically lose his powers through stuff that exists in the My Hero world.
It takes 24 hours to get to another universe. And so even if they did, let's say they knew who he was, and let's say they knew of the removal of quirks, which was a very rare thing to get in the first place, to then suddenly have that is that's a lot of ifs.
Lot of ifs. There is no way that I can think of that Team Marvelous would have a shot at capturing LeMillion.
Yeah. So that's very true, and that, I think that reflected in the way the votes went out, where Team Great Power took the win with 12 votes to only 2 votes total that counted for Team Marvelous. Oof, Chris. So Team Marvelous getting bumped off again, like we said. Yeah. One team could just lose, and then you lose Ironman, Storm, Captain America.
Some heavy hitters
in the first round go down. But when you look at Team Great Power, who do you see? Do you see a champion in this team? Do you see someone who can make it all the way to the next to the championship round?
Yeah, I think as long as prep time is on the table, Batman or someone from the Bat family, any kind of strategist, that's a good viable option. Aquaman was a joke for a long time, but we forget he swims miles below the ocean. Like he can basically take bullets. He has enough strength to almost like the first Superman versions where he couldn't fly, but he could jump super high. Like Aquaman has that ability. If you don't think he does, you are an idiot. Yeah, you probably smell bad. So don't forget that Aquaman is very high up there. I do want to I don't think he would make it the end necessarily, but I want to throw out for the Thing. He was kind of an underdog, and we had some good comments.
Yes, we did
about it. And my favorite line was a quote from one of the fan wikis. The Thing's lungs are of greater volume and efficiency than a normal man's, enabling him to hold his breath underwater for up to 9 minutes, despite the fact that he used to smoke. So remember, kids, smokers are jokers. Stay in school.
Yeah, he could have probably held it for 18 minutes had he
exactly. But now he sounds like a waitress at a truck stop diner. But it's still clobbering time, you know.
Yeah, it's still clobbering.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something, and I think this is actually, it might be pretty controversial, but I think LeMillion has the ability to take this whole thing. Like,
assuming the cards like fall his way. Yeah, you would need a lot to render that guy powerless. Like the right connections, the right time frame. It has to be. It would have to be a really perfect, like a perfect encounter, because even when we see him lose his power, he's dodging like faster than eye movements. He's taking hits. He's not getting touched. Like the dude has an ability to really go. And remember, he only lost his powers because he was defending someone else. Like he didn't lose them because he couldn't get out of the way. He lost them because he needed to take the hit in order to protect someone else. And without that limitation going on, like I feel like LeMillion, it's real tough. I mean, the heroes in My Hero, those kids, like they work so freaking hard. Like by the time you've gone through school, like you are so much more than your quirk at that point because of what you've gone through to like push your quirk to the absolute limit.
Yeah, because a lot of these other people who fight, even the other heroes that we see in this next battle, a lot of these people are heroes because there's crime. And LeMillion is a hero every day, every night, training. Like no one really works as hard as some of the people at My Hero because that's like what they do. That's all they do.
Yeah, so, their whole world is built around it.
Yeah. So there's something to be said. So I think that LeMillion might be an underdog in this whole competition. And so when we look at our fight 3, we're going to look at some other heroes here. Just keep that in mind. Just with the worlds that these people are coming from are very different.